Alright, here we are, episode 4, power. So I'm going to put in this 750 watt power supply into the nice spot back there. So here we go. I presume it goes in this way.
Bottom facing.
Yeah, that would be that.
Other way up.
Yeah, right. This is...
You want to have the fan facing down so that it can suck air up.
That's right, this is blowing in. Whoops. That's fine. And that is nice and snug. I just need to get the screws for the back. And I'm going to leave these here nice and neatly. Why don't you show off all the little things?
Right, so for your power supply, this is a non-modular power supply, so we've got all the cables pre-attached. We've got, the PCI, we've got the CPU power, the motherboard, some SATA.
Let me just check something. Okay. Alright, well I've got the screws now, so I'm just going to start screwing this in. We've got the screws from the old computer, and I just kicked it. Alright, so... hang on, let's just twist this. Pretty heavy.
Getting heavy now.
Yeah. That was nothing. You gotta brutalize it a little bit to break it in. Alright, let's move that forward. Screw down. Me and the goddamn screws. And that is just about in the right spot everywhere. Yeah, there you go. Not quite lined up. Like that. Alright, just making sure that fits before I actually start screwing, because if I didn't check that to be the right size, then I would have problems. So we want to avoid problems. So just like before, I'm going to do an X because that's just the more efficient way to do things. Keeps things in their right spot easier and faster. So here we go. Got that in there. Wish I had washers, but you don't need them for a power supply. So that's going to go there. It's more like an N. Like do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter for a power supply though. I mean, if this was hanging up on the top like it was in the old computer, then yeah, you'd probably want to do this. But here we are.
Prefer to have it on the bottom.
Yeah.
You may have your power supply at the top, you just want to repeat the process. There may be an inside screw as well, just to keep it held up there. But for the majority of gaming cases, this is a gaming build series, you will have the power supply mounted on the bottom. So now that's all screwed in and fastened, we're going to get into plugging everything in.
Alright, so now we've got the power supply in, we've got everything all like discombobulated all over the place. Turns out we don't actually have the wire for the SSD, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to do that. But, oh well. So here we are. I'm feeding that up through.
Just feed the main power cables. You want to try and do as much cable management here as you can.
Yeah.
So Norman's just feeding the main power cable here through the back from the power supply down in there, up and round, and that is going to go into the slot there. That's the main power cable.
Okay.
Is that clipped in there?
Yeah, I think so. Didn't hear a clip, but it feels like it's in. I think that's good.
Okay, so that's the main power cable in there.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, I'm going to do the graphics card ones. So that I'm going to follow the same path as the main power. Only I'm going to go up and around and in there. I could almost go through here.
Yeah, that'd probably be
I
better.
think I'm going to do that. A little bit close to my face there, eh? Alright, so that's me plugging in the power into the power port or whatever you want to call it for the graphics card. So here
This
we
particular graphics card has 2 6-pin power connectors required.
There you
So
go.
there you go, and there's the other 2 pins that would make the 6 pins 8 pins just hanging freely there, because this card does not require 8 pin.
Alright, so unfortunately this doesn't reach all the way up into there, which
That's
is
the
the
CPU power.
Yep. Okay, so I am going to have to actually untangle these. Hang on a second. Hate it when things are all tangled up. Okay, I'll go through here. Free now. Okay, so it's long enough to make it up there without having like difficulties. It's just, you know, it can't fit up through there and around, and you know, I already tried. So here we are. I'm just going to.
Might want to go under the water cooler cables
I
there.
was just about to. Okay. If I can actually get it up there. There you go. Just kind of pulling that a little bit tighter.
Some CPU only require 4 pin.
Yeah, and
This
we've got
particular
two 4
one
pins.
requires 8, which is 2 4 pins merged together.
Alright, so I believe this
Just
goes
up there
in,
on the top left, you see it?
Yeah. I think this goes in like that. Hang on, I need to do this one at a time. I don't think I actually have to do it once, both at the same time. Okay, come on. So that is the first one. That just clipped in just nicely. So, just like I said, do not force anything actually into the computer, because if you have things mislined up, then you will mess up bad. So that's the other 4 pin. There you go, got it. Okay.
Okay.
It just, you have to wiggle it so much. You'll probably have to do that as well. But it just depends on how long your cable is and whether things are all nice and smooth, or, you know, the usual crap that you have to put up with.
Okay, so next
So-
will be the disk drive and hard drive cables.
Yep. Alright, so yeah, one more thing is just make sure you don't have any cables hitting any fans or anything like that, because then, you know, you'll really mess up things. So I'm going to put this stuff through this second pathway here, or door, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, so just because I'm lazy, I'm going to crunch these all up into a little ball and just start feeding them through, one at a time. And try and not make a mess of things. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
That is for the 3 and that. So that's going to have to go back inside. I'm saving that for the DVD drive. I actually have to come back here. Okay. So where's that? Okay, I got it. So that's for the first one.
It's just into the back of the hard drives here, the SATA power cables.
Yeah. Alright, so that's in the first one. This is going in the second one. Remember what I said, do not force anything, because if it breaks, then you're screwed. Okay. There you go. It's like trying to force in a USB in the wrong end. It's just not going to work. Okay, that's upside down. Yeah, it'd be nice if I got that light, thank you. You try it in the first time, it doesn't work. Put it in the second time, it doesn't work. Try it the third time the same way you had it before, it works.
Okay, bam.
It's just the universal law of plugs. Alright, so now I'm going to have to feed this back in and around and put that into the DVD drive so that we can play our DVDs and movies and whatnot. So here we go, feeding that back through. Lots of space. No need to worry that much. Just untangling that a little bit more. Getting a little bit more wiggle room. I've already got this as well. Oh, this is just SATA's. Never mind. Okay. There you go, that was smart. I'm going to put this into the DVD drive without causing any problems. Okay, I think that's in correctly. There you go. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll just kind of shove these back outside, just to kind of make things look nice. So there you go. Barely any cables besides for this one. Probably end up just going out and getting a, an extender for that, and then everything will be going back outside, and it'll look all nice and cool in here. So
Okay.
if you want to take care of these cables, we will
Okay.
swap hands. Here we go. Yeah, let's just take a quick break here.
Okay, so now we're just going to plug in the rest of the cables. I've just connected the front panel connectors there onto the front panel connector header. Now this is in a different spot than usual, that's why this was shown off film. These are actually not connected the same way, but if you look at a little guide that you'll get, or one of these in the motherboard case, this was actually the wrong one for the motherboard, which was a shame, so I had to connect them manually. But the general rule of thumb is you can see the connector in there, it will say below it, you won't actually be able to see that, it will say front panel, and then you will need to connect them based on the diagram on the motherboard showing you where to go. Now, what we're going to get plugged in is the front panel connectors. This has a fan controller, this case, we're going to plug that in. First of all, I'm going to try and get the USB 3.0 from the front panel in. So there's no need to route this round anywhere, just got to bring it back round.
Nope, right next to the graphics card.
Yeah, in a very awkward spot here. Now that's the wrong way up.
Maybe it was the right way up. There you go.
Okay, that's in there pretty snug. Next we can do the HD audio. Now since we're using a sound card in this build, we're going to plug this into the sound card. So the sound card connector for the front panel is actually under there, which is going to make this a little bit more tricky than normal.
Can't even see it, there it is.
And I believe that this is actually going to go in that way up. So normally you'll connect your front panel audio down here, and the front panel audio is actually this USB 2 up there, right there. But since we're using a sound card, it's going to go in here, so if you are using a sound card then it will be in a very similar place, if not the same.
Oh, I think we're going to have to tilt the case back for this one. Okay.
Okay, so we finally got the header, the front HD audio header, into the sound card. It turns out that the pins were actually bent down. Now that must have happened in the manufacturing process. We have now sorted this problem. Okay, so next I'm going to plug in these. Now this is the pump for the CPU cooler and the fan at the back. So the fan, pretty straightforward, just goes into the CPU fan slot at the top. Just clips in like that. Now since there's no CPU fan option on this, I'm going to put this into system fan, which is a 3-pin. That'll just go in there. That's for the pump. Fingers crossed that will be fine in there, because I've had one of these water pumps before and some of them don't seem to like, well the motherboard at least doesn't seem to like a pump going in that system fan. It does actually say in the instructions to put the water pump into a system fan 3-pin, but for some reason another motherboard I had didn't like it. Okay, so let's just take a look at what we've got left. Here we go, we have the USB 2.0, really simple, just go straight in these two headers at the very bottom of the motherboard, one there, USB 2.0, and one should. It's not even. That one's not really going in. It was so many dodgy cables these days and things. Just firmly get those in there. Alright, that's in. Okay. So, we are very nearly done now. We only have a few things to connect. Now once you've got all your fans plugged in, note these fan connectors around your motherboard, like for instance there. You want to plug in all your system fans. Now this case actually has a fan controller on it, so we
up on top.
do not have to connect that. Now there is one fan on the side of the case that we will need to plug in there, but we now need to plug in the fan connector power. But before I do that, I'm just going to connect the data cables. So these are your SATA data cables. This is what's going to transfer the data from everything. First off, we're going to connect the, let's do the disk drive so the case can come up with this.
We just got out of focus. There
Okay.
you go.
So just connect your SATA cable in the back of your disk drive there. Bring it down into one of the SATA headers on your motherboard. Now I'm just going to quickly route this through the back for cable tidy goodness. Haven't actually done any cable management at the moment because we've had a few short cables, but cable management will be done on this build at some point. Just want to get that in the back. There we go. Clip. Now next I'm going to do the the 3 hard drives. So let's get these plugged in first. You've got to have the clip facing upright. Now normally they come with one curved end and one flat end. Now the flat end is normally for the motherboard because it's much easier to get it in there. So there we go, there's one. Just going to route that through to the back, through the cable slot, which is getting pretty busy. Okay, she's in. Now the other two is for the hard drives at the back. That's the next one, just clips in like that. Just feed it through.
That one looks like it's halfway clipped. The one on top.
It's okay, they kind of do stick out like that. Give them one final push as well once these are all routed through. Okay, now for the final cable. It's going to go on top here, clip that in, and just route that through to the back.
And that one goes to the SSD.
That's no, just for the 3 hard drives. The SSD we won't be doing on cam since we don't actually have the data cable for it.
Unfortunately.
The power cable rather.
Yeah.
So just pop these in the back of your hard drives. Pop this one. Can be a little bit tricky to get in. Pop there's 2. And pop there is 3. Now the Molex here for the fan connector, I'm going to need 1 Molex. So if you come around to the front, I've got the Molex here. I'm just going to thread that through and pop that into a Molex there. So that's all connected. Bring some of these cables further through just to tighten everything up. Like I said, cable management not actually done here yet.
As much anyway.
As much. For cable management, you just want to route as many cables as you can around the back of everything just to get it all nice and tidy. Really straightforward job. Should have no difficulty doing that at all. You normally get some cable ties in the case. I'm just going to run over everything here and check that everything is plugged in correctly. Seems like we are. Power cable there, not actually in.
I guess I never did get it in, did I? That was ages ago.
Pull that out. Just get the CPU power back in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gotta be on. It's been. They got the clips are both gotta be on the same side. Yeah. See, look. I wish I had a light.
Just pop those two in there. Clip, clip. There we go. That's properly in this time. That would have been disastrous if we'd started without that. Just check the power LEDs. USB 3.0 header is in. Main motherboard power secure. All SATA data cables, give them a run over. Yep, now to put the side panel back on.
And hook up the power to that.
Yep, now we're just
So
going to put
that
the back
goes-
side panel on first.
Okay, got that.
So just take your back side panel, try and avoid all these cables sticking out of the back. Just hook that in. There we go. That's on there. And get your thumb screws or your actual case screws. Just get that done up. Okay.
There you go.
There's the backside panel. Now this one's going to be a little
Wait a
trickier.
minute. You gotta hook up the power
Yep.
to that. These two.
So if you do have any fans on the side of your case, you'll
Make
want
sure to
to
give them power.
hook them up either to the motherboard or fan connector in this case. So
There's your window.
Okay.
Everything a little nice and LEDs inside. There you go. You can see the complete opposite side of the basement where we threw everything.
okay. So, although we've had a few mishaps along the way, that is how to build your own gaming computer for 2013.
We'll see you guys on the other side.
See you later.